Up next on The Reveal.
The officers used a battering ram to enter the wrong house.
Something went off like a bomb in my house.
Used flashbang grenades, handcuffed the wrong man in the wrong house.
Stop your hands! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now!
And their get-out-of-jail-free card is "I'm sorry" and qualified immunity.
That badge is a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Turn around!
No.
Turn around!
A couple arrested after calling 911 to report a stolen car.
It was just a nightmare from there on.
Why did a judge say the detective who put them behind bars could not be held responsible?
Are you arrested because you think I smoke marijuana?
And the innocent people arrested for driving stoned when their blood tests came back clean.
Something I have to carry for the rest of my life.
Tonight, a special edition of The Reveal, Qualified Immunity, Police Impunity.
From our Midtown studios in Atlanta, The Reveal begins now with our multi-Emmy and National Mural Award-winning team of investigators.
Welcome to The Reveal. I'm Chief Investigator Brendan Keith. How do you hold the powerful accountable when they're immune from lawsuits? Right now, the police could kick down your door on a no-knock warrant for someone else's address. Officers could jail you for auto theft or driving stoned, even if you're completely innocent. And as you'll see over the next half hour, there's quite literally nothing that can be done to stop them from doing it again and again, because agents of the government are entitled to a special privilege that's not available to any other citizens accused of breaking the law. It's called qualified immunity.
All right, we're out. Go. We're going, we're moving.
I'm following you, Andy. Go.
The Henry County SWAT team locked and loaded.
Wait for the bang.
Grenade.
They've got a no-knock warrant for an accused drug dealer.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands! I got this one.
8 body cameras were rolling in 2018 as the heavily armed deputies searched for their target in McDonough.
Sheriff's officer's warrant!
Something went off like a bomb in my house. I thought something blowed up in the house.
Sheriff's officer's warrant! I need a kick. Sheriff's office!
Got to the hallway, they was all over me.
Stop your hands! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now!
I said, what's going on? He says, no, you get down.
Stop your hands! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground!
Grabbed my arm, twisted behind my back, and handcuffed me.
Put your hands out in front of you, sir. Put your hands out in front of you.
Anybody advise if we have the target?
79-year-old Henri Norris was not the target. Deputies had the wrong man and the wrong house.
Sheriff's office, search warrant!
I can't even imagine what he went through. I mean, like the Breonna Taylor situation. She's dead and gone. There's nothing that can be done to bring her back. And how many Breonna Taylors have to die? How many of my grandfather's houses have to be broke into? I mean, and that's how I feel like you broke into his house because you had no authority. You had no reason to be there before we get change. I mean, a change has to happen and needs to happen because more people are gonna die.
Geronimo!
If you're not safe in your own home from the government, when you've done nothing wrong, where are you safe?
Clearly nowhere. It's really sad, and it hurts even more because my grandfather has never been in any trouble with the police. He's never even had a ticket.
Henri was watching television in the McDonough home he's owned for 50 years. The no-knock search warrant was for the house next door through the woods. So how did deputies end up hitting a house with a different color, a separate driveway, its own mailbox, and another address?
What's wrong? Missed it.
We just got up.
Missed it.
First, the tactical team got lost following instructions from a GPS app on a phone.
Turn right on me.
Then, as soon as they got to the correct address, deputies were immediately confused.
Where's the house?
That's the house. I don't know about that house right there.
Where we at?
They walked right past the target house without clearing it and headed through the tree line to the next house on the street. Even then, deputies were unsure.
This house?
Looking back and forth at the two houses, it was too late. The entry team was already forcing its way into Henri's home.
That just scared me to death. I already had heart trouble. I had heart surgery.
You got heart trouble. You got what? Heart trouble. All right, you have heart problems right now?
Yeah, I could have died. I could have had a heart attack.
When they finally realized they'd hit the wrong house, deputies turned their cameras off one by one.
Yeah, a pizza delivery man could have delivered a pizza to the correct address.
Daryl Scott is Henri's attorney. He sued Henry County's tactical commander, but a federal judge dismissed the case because police officers are entitled to qualified immunity.
That's what happens in the majority of cases. The cases are dismissed and officers are granted qualified immunity, even when there's a constitutional violation.
Search warrant!
What is qualified immunity?
Qualified immunity is a court-invented doctrine that allows law enforcement officers and other government actors to avoid accountability when they violate a citizen's constitutional rights.
Judges created qualified immunity to protect individual officers from liability, unless victims can show the officers violated rights that are clearly established.
Shouldn't every officer know you don't knock down a door at the wrong house? Shouldn't every officer know you don't go handcuffing people who aren't the targets of your investigation? Shouldn't every officer know you don't throw a flashbang grenade into the wrong house?
Yeah, I think that's clearly established. That should be obvious for any law enforcement officer. That's obvious for untrained citizens.
The officers used a battering ram to enter the wrong house, used flashbang grenades, handcuffed the wrong man in the wrong house, and their get-out-of-jail-free card is I'm sorry and qualified immunity. Does I'm sorry cut it?
No, sorry, it does not cut it. It just shows that that badge is a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's showing that if I have a badge, I can say I'm sorry, and I have no accountability.
The government has given officers a blank check to go out in the community and break the law. They feel like they have the right to do that with no consequence.
As a screening mechanism for frivolous lawsuits, and what it's morphed into is almost absolute immunity for law enforcement officers.
If they're able to get away with this and not be held accountable, what's the danger then?
But they're going to just keep on doing it. They probably go into somebody's wrong house, somebody's going to get hurt.
Henri hasn't seen a penny in restitution, but his attorney, Daryl Scott, has filed an appeal with the 11th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, where he's already won a reversal in a similar case of qualified immunity.
Hey, turn around.
No.
Turn around!
Next, the case of the car, the cop, and the couple, jailed for stealing a car they bought fair and square.
They shackled us like we were criminals.
And how qualified immunity led to a promotion for the detective who falsely arrested them.
This is an unusual story for us because we warned the detective he didn't have a case before he arrested a couple back in 2015. They ended up in handcuffs for a crime they didn't commit, and the detective was granted qualified immunity. It's okay.
No,
I'm getting a picture.
No, sir.
Call the
Get
police.
your ass out
Sir,
of my
I am on
property.
public property. You call the police then, or I will call the police.
Call him.
A towing company manager tries to block us from getting a picture of an impounded car.
I got a man up here taking pictures.
Sir.
I don't want him
Sir.
taking pictures of our yard.
Sir.
He don't have authorization.
Sir, this is
He
public
not
property.
proved who
Please
he
step
is.
aside.
Not shooting that way. Turn around.
No.
Turn around.
The car was on his property, but we were on a public sidewalk.
Stop taking pictures to the police.
Sir, I do not have to take your unlawful orders.
What's so special about this particular Toyota? It was impounded by Clayton County Police from owners Michael and Michelle Pierce. The couple runs a thrift shop, and they routinely buy the contents of unpaid storage units. Their $1,700 bid won an auction for the Toyota.
And then we found out it was stolen.
They immediately called 911 and turned the Toyota over to police. But when Michael and Michelle discovered no one had a claim on the car, they went back to the Clayton County Police Department and got this signed release from impound.
Part of the procedure was to run the history of the vehicle, and it was clean and clear. Of course, that's why we got the T-22, the title bond, and Clayton County released it to us.
Then they got a call from Clayton County Detective Randy Brashears. He put the car back on the stolen list and demanded they hand it over again.
They called and said they made a mistake by releasing it to me and that they was going to lock me up if I did not give it back.
An army of cops showed up at the couple's store.
We even got a tag and title bonded and everything.
And took the car away on a rollback. That was July of 2015 when they called the 11 Alive investigators. We sent an email to Detective Brashears. It's not clear what crime Michelle Pierce would have violated or why the threat of arrest was necessary for what would appear to be your department's mistake.
What did I do?
Just days later, Detective Brashears went back to the Pierce's shop with more officers.
They came in here and snatched me up as if I'd shot and killed somebody, and then turned around and locked my wife up, and never one time told us why they were doing it. They just did it.
Okay, so why am I under arrest? I haven't done anything.
That had to be the worst moment of our life.
It was just a nightmare from there on. I'm sitting there pleading with the detective and I'm telling him, I'll get Brendan not to air the interview where we're asking for the money back.
They were both jailed for auto theft, and Michelle was also charged with felony forgery.
Trying to tell people, hey, I'm in here and I didn't do nothing wrong, you feel stupid, so you just shut your mouth and sit there. When we went to see the judge, they shackled us like we were criminals.
When they made bail, another Clayton County police officer met the couple in a Walmart parking lot.
You got blue collar crime and you got straight up like murder, rape. We can't help you with them kind of charges.
Exactly.
They can go away.
He said that he had people
On the inside.
who would get rid of these charges.
Yes, and he said he's done it before.
The couple secretly recorded their meeting with Officer Grant Kidd.
He used to charge $750 for each that you going there. $750. And you pay miles up front, then the rest of you pay after it go away.
This police officer was telling you if you paid him $1,500, the charges would disappear.
Yes.
If it don't go away, if it go into the grand jury and you get your money back.
Clayton County immediately fired Officer Kidd, and then the FBI arrested him for soliciting a bribe from the Pierces. The DA then dismissed the case against Michael and Michelle, saying the car was legally purchased at auction and there is no evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant sought to defraud anyone.
At the end of all of this, the district attorney determined no crime had been committed.
Well, I mean, a 2-year-old could see that.
Detective Brashears is still on the job.
I want him held accountable. I don't care if he gets a slap on the wrist, but he done wrong, and if he done it to us and he's not held accountable, he can do it again.
He didn't respond to our request for an interview, so we caught up with him at police headquarters.
Can we help you?
Yeah, I'm Brendan Keefe from 11 Alive. Detective, can you tell us why you arrested the Pierces when even the DA says you didn't have a case?
Sir, you've been told by our attorney that we have no statement for you.
We went to jail. We were punished for doing the right thing.
You have nothing to say to the Pierces after denying them their freedom?
I know that God and karma will get him.
Did you arrest them because they called us? Was it revenge?
Yeah, this is too easy. We got a stolen car, man. This is too easy. Let's turn it in and try to steal it back from the police.
Do car thieves, in your experience, usually call the police? Officer Grant Kidd pleaded guilty to soliciting a bribe and got probation. But the lawsuit against Detective Brashears was thrown out on qualified immunity.
He thought, well, I'm a cop, I'm covered.
Next, Michael and Michelle take their case to the federal appeals court.
They're totally the victims in this case.
Welcome back to The Reveal. If you try to sue a city or a county, they can claim sovereign immunity to get the lawsuit thrown out. Individual officers are entitled to qualified immunity, which is why a federal judge dismissed the case filed by Michael and Michelle Pierce against the detective who arrested the innocent couple.
What did I do?
How much is your freedom worth? Michael and Michelle Pierce sued Detective Randy Brashears of the Clayton County Police Department after they were arrested for a crime they didn't commit.
Our whole life got turned upside down.
They're totally the victims in this case. Clayton County made a mistake in releasing the vehicle, and then rather than owning up to the mistake, they had my clients arrested for it.
But a federal judge didn't have to examine the paperwork error that put the couple behind bars. The case was dismissed because a police officer is protected by qualified immunity.
Because he failed to do his job, I guess he just had an attitude and he thought, well, I'm a cop, I'm covered.
Turn around.
No.
Turn around.
They didn't even get the car back. The police department took it from the Pierces and sold it at auction.
After they took it from us the second time, it gets sold and re-auctioned, and now someone in my hometown is driving it.
Attorney Daryl Scott appealed to the 11th Circuit, and the U.S. Court of Appeals reversed the dismissal. Detective Brashears was stripped of qualified immunity because he did not have arguable probable cause to arrest the couple. Michael and Michelle got a settlement, and Brashears got a promotion to sergeant earlier this year.
There is protections in place for officers who make reasonable mistakes, but the immunity law is not designed to protect an officer who acts maliciously.
Remember, Daryl Scott is the same attorney who's currently appealing the dismissal of Henri Norris's lawsuit for that no-knock wrong house raid of his home. But that's not the only qualified immunity case currently on appeal to the 11th Circuit.
Are you arrested because you think I smoke marijuana?
Next, drivers with clean blood tests jailed for driving stoned by an officer granted qualified immunity.
Something I have to carry for the rest of my life.
Our 2017 investigation, The Drug Whisperer, revealed multiple drivers arrested on drug charges when their blood tests came back clean. The ACLU and 4 victims identified in our story sued the Cobb County Police Department. But just this year, a federal judge dismissed the case against the arresting officer, granting him qualified immunity.
This time you're being taken into custody, okay, for DUI drugs.
My name is Caitlin, and it happened to me.
It happened to me.
Well, I believe you have, okay? I need to borrow your arm real quick, okay?
It happened to me.
Innocent people arrested for driving on drugs.
It happened to me.
Our investigation shows this is not limited to one arrest or one officer.
I'm placing you on arrest for suspicion of DUI. Let's save drugs, okay?
It's a nationwide phenomenon.
It happened to me.
It happened to me.
So you're saying that you don't smoke marijuana?
It happened to me.
It happened to me.
To me.
To me.
To me.
To me.
To me.
When's the last time you smoked weed? I don't smoke weed. You don't smoke weed?
No, not at all.
It happened to college student Princess Umbamara.
Something I have to carry for the rest of my life.
Are you arrested because you think I smoke marijuana?
I believe that you're impaired by cannabis. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I don't smoke weed. Is there a way you can test me right now?
The blood test came back 6 months later, completely clean.
They tossed the case.
I remember my lawyer trying to talk about a deal. I was like, what? I'm not taking a deal. I didn't do anything. Well, I want, my life back. Can you reverse time?
It happened to Auburn student Kunle Oriomi.
You're giving me indicators that you have consumed marijuana, so you're being placed on arrest for DUI, okay?
Again, blood and urine were negative for drugs.
You're giving me signs of ingestion of marijuana, okay?
It happened to young mother Brittany Penwell and to waitress Caitlin Ebner.
Okay, so when I do a drug test, I'll be free to go, correct?
You're going to jail, ma'am.
All 4 cases were dismissed, and all 4 of our victims filed suit against the officer and the county for false arrest.
We have police officers arresting innocent people and throwing them into jail based on a training that is completely unreliable and is based on junk science.
Can you stick your tongue out real big at me?
But just this year, a federal judge threw out the ACLU lawsuit, ruling Officer Carroll is entitled to qualified immunity in all 4 cases.
If I'm that police officer and I'm deciding whether or not to arrest you, there's really no downside risk for me as a police officer to
There's no consequences.
If this can happen to you, it can happen to anybody.
It could happen to anybody.
If he was exonerated in his internal affairs investigation and you really can't sue him, why would officers stop arresting innocent people?
They wouldn't. This is just going to keep going on and on and on until someone steps up and realizes that these officers aren't doing the right things. They're getting credit for arresting innocent people. They're getting raises for it.
Indeed, Officer Carroll got a medal from Mothers Against Drunk Driving for 90 DUI arrests that year, including the 4 drivers who turned out to be sober.
If you know that if you do something wrong and you don't get punished or, reprimanded for it, you're gonna keep doing it. You're gonna keep doing it. Who cares if somebody, speaks out on it? You're gonna keep doing it because you have that little badge of honor. Who can tell you otherwise?
Do your rights truly exist if they can't be enforced? Or does qualified immunity lead to police impunity? That's our show tonight. We'll see you next week for another edition of The Reveal.